everyone, this is Mandy, and welcome back to See Self Awake. I'm not coming at you as some expert, I'm just someone walking the same road and paying attention to the stuff that we all go through and thinking out loud about it. So if something here meets you somewhere, I'm really glad that you're here. So let me start with a small thing. The other day, I sat down to rest just for a minute, and before I'd even settled, something in me went, "You should be doing something. You shouldn't be sitting here." Not a loud voice, a quiet one, the kind you barely even notice. Just, "You should be working. You're letting people down." And for the longest time, I just thought, that's me. That's my own voice. But that day, I actually heard it like it was a separate person in the room, and it made me stop and go, wait. Like, wait a second. Whose voice is that, really? That's what I want to sit with today because honestly, I don't think most of the voices in our heads are even ours. I think we were handed them early before we ever got to choose, and we've been mistaking them for ourselves ever since. So let me show you the first one I caught. Sometimes I look at someone and it's like watching myself 10 years ago, and I think I wish someone had said this to me back then because even now I'm still tangled in it. So I'm the eldest daughter, the one the younger ones are supposed to look up to, the role model, and that role got handed to me young by my parents and the elders. So back then, I just took it. This is who I am. At least that's what I thought. This is my responsibilities. This is what I carry. And I used to feel like I never got to choose any of this. But that's not quite true because I was choosing the whole time. Choosing to listen, choosing to carry what they handed me. I just didn't know that's what I was doing. And slowly it stopped being a role. It actually became me, part of who I am. And that's the hard part to put down. And honestly, part of me is scared to put it down because if I'm not the strong one, the steady one, the one who holds it all together for everyone else, then who would? And most importantly, who even am I? Who would I be? That role has been my name for so long that I don't really know who's standing here without it. So I get why I keep picking it back up. It's heavy, but it's familiar. And the familiar feels safe. Even when it's the very thing weighting you down, because when everyone's looking up to you, you can't exhale. You feel like you always have to be doing something or you're letting them down. You're not the one they need you to be, but why must I be that model? Why can't I catch my breath? Why am I not allowed to just stop? Is this even what I want or just what I was raised to be? And the thing is, family is the softest part of me. I listen because I love them. I want to be the good kid in their eyes. So when they said, "Look how well so and so did," and that so and so could be a sibling, a cousin, anyone, they might not mean anything by it, but something in me starts measuring. Like, oh, like, what about me? What does mine even count for? And that quiet, invisible weight, the kind no one ever names, honestly, that's the heaviest one to carry. I'm not going to clear any of this in one go. I just want to see that it's there. So next time it rises up, I catch it and I ask gently, like, do I have to believe this one? Now, here is where it gets harder. Because if you sit with that question long enough, do I have to believe this one? You hit a stranger one underneath it. If that voice isn't quite mine, then which thoughts are? And how would I even tell? Let me try to say it the way it actually feels. I'm still looking for who I am. I was looking before too. I'm still looking now. The only difference is it's a little cleaner than it used to be. For a long time, it felt like walking through heavy fog or a desert. I could only see the patch of ground right under my feet or some shimmering thing far ahead that I told myself was the way. And there was always something up there that looked like guidance. So I followed it. Of course I did. I had no direction of my own. I didn't know where I was going, so I grabbed every rope throw on my way, kept my head down, and tried to be the good girl my parents could see. And that holds up fine when one or two people are telling you the same thing or when everyone happens to agree. But then you hit a real stuck point, the kind that actually matters, and suddenly everyone's got a different opinion, and inside you feel torn right down the middle, not knowing whose voice to trust. And here's the part I never stopped to ask back then, that I have a mind too, that I don't actually have to follow any of them. And even the thoughts I'm sure are mine, how do I know they're really mine and not just something I was handed? So I still don't have that fully sorted, honestly. But these days, when I don't know if a road is right or wrong, I just let it not have a right or wrong. I choose to try it, and the trying every time hands me back a little more of myself. So that's the question, whose voice is this? But here's a step before that one I want to look at. Not just the whose voice it is, but how it got in there in the first place. Like, how does someone else's voice end up sounding like your own? And I heard a story the other day that kind of cracked this open for me, because people's need to control, honestly, it runs so deep. It was a family with many kids. When each one turns 13, they get a phone. And on that phone, an app the parents use to watch everything, the text, the apps, how long, on what. And if they want the kids to do something, they just block the phone. No phone, no choice. So the kid do it, and the parents think, see, my way works. They listen to me. But is it what the kids actually wanted? No. Do they quietly resent it? Probably. Because what looks like obedience on the outside is really just trust thinning out on the inside. And here is what I'm telling you this one, because that's exactly how a voice gets installed. Not all at once, not by some force you can see, just as someone day after day telling you what you should do until one day you literally can't tell their voice from your own. The lock comes off the phone, but it stays on inside. And the thing is, no one in this story is a villain. Those parents aren't cruel, they're scared. They think if they don't watch, something bad happens. The voice almost always come in wrapped in care. So it doesn't feel like control. It feels like being looked after, and that's what makes it so hard to see and so hard to put down. So what do you do with it when you're the grown one now and then the voice is still running? Well, everyone lives inside their world, and whatever they say is true to them. So when my parents say something that lands on me like control, I'm learning to listen past the words to the worry underneath, not to fire back, you're wrong, I'm right. Because in their world, that just makes me the one who's wrong. A lot of the nagging is really just them thinking I don't get it. So I say their worry back to them so they know I actually heard it. It doesn't fix everything. And it's never one conversation, but here is what I've come to see is I can't make them change. I can only change how I meet them. And somehow every single one of this, it was never really about fixing them. It was life. quietly teaching me to adjust myself. So a voice like that, it doesn't just sit there quietly, it puts you to work. Like, why do we always need to prove ourselves? I think it starts really early. We're social creatures. We're taught to prove it with a grade, do the chores, be the good kid, get the praise, and we learn fast. Being praised feels good. So it sets off this little domino line inside of us. Prove yourself, and you can shut the doubt up. Prove yourself, and you can feel a little better inside. Prove yourself, and you can get to believe you have worth. Prove yourself so you can feel like you actually did something instead of just sitting there with that hollow. What am I even for kind of feeling? So, underneath all the proving is really just us trying to say my life means something to others and to ourselves. If you did nothing all day, proved nothing to anyone, what would you even be doing with yourself? What would living even be for? And I know part of you might want to push back here. You might be thinking, well, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. But here's the term. Even the people who say that, they're still doing things to prove something to themselves. So it loops right back to the quietest version of it, sitting with yourself, talking to yourself, staying connected to yourself. So proving yourself isn't some dirty word. What actually matters is what's underneath it, what you're reaching for and why. Like, are you proving to feed a voice that's never satisfied? Or are you just living and proving is the overflow? And that's the whole turn I've been walking towards. Because once you see the voice, see how it got in, see the proving it drives, you get to the only question that's actually yours to answer. Not whose voice it was, but whose life it's going to be. So here's something I've decided is every day gets lived either way. You can spend it anxious, tight, caught up in your own head. That's a day. You can spend it light, easy, actually here, and that's also a day. Same 24 hours. There's no right or wrong in it. I just decided I want mine to be interesting. And for a long time, that wasn't even a choice I knew I had. When you're young, you take in everything, your parents, your teachers, the older ones around you, you absorb their thoughts before you even build any of your own. Then you grow up and you wonder why you keep grinding yourself down, caring about this, caring that, all of it at once. My body tells me when I've gone too far. The hair falling out, the stiffness, the tightness in my chest, the ones I notice, the ones I ignore, they're all saying the same thing. The way you're living right now is too tense. It isn't natural. It can't last. I don't want to go back to where that finally breaks, but if it comes back, I'm trying to let it remind me instead of scare me. Okay, there is still room to grow, and looking back, even that's kind of interesting. Of course, it's so much easier to call it interesting in hindsight. Real practice is catching it in now, in the moment, because this is the road I've paving for the rest of my life. Smooth or full of holes. Either way, I'm the one who paved it. I'm the one who walks it. So I can't really blame anyone else. And honestly, I don't want to. So that's where I've landed, at least for today. The voice in your head, you didn't make it up out of nothing. It was handed to you by people who mostly loved you and who were carrying their own handed down voices too. And that's not a thing to be angry about. It makes sense. It's how all of us got here. But you're the grown one now, and you get to turn to the voice and ask it gently, do I have to believe this one? You don't have to clear it all in one go. I haven't. I'm right here in it with you. So just catch one voice this week, just one, and ask whose it really is. And thank you for being here. Thank you for slowing down. to see, to feel, to awaken. Every time you listen with intention to the world or to yourself, you let a little more light in. Until next time, see truly, live freely. I'm Mandy, and this is See Self Awake.